We are going to continue in Hilchot Teshuva. We are in the third parak, the third chapter, trying to figure out how do we get better and better and better as a people. Says the Rambam, we're going to have a big argument. And if we don't have an argument, then I'm going to close the book and stop the class. Because you should have something to argue against. Here's what the Rambam writes. Adam she'avonotav merubin al zchuyutav, miyad hu met berish'o. A person who has more demerits than merits dies instantly. First of all, you guys are too mellow for me.
Okay.
Come on.
That's impossible.
Why is it impossible?
Because then there wouldn't be any evil alive in the world the moment it's created.
Why?
Because you instantaneously die.
No.
No, he said
If a person has 10 good deeds and he does one evil deed that is equal to the 10. Let's say he put on tefillin every day for 10 days and he kicked the cat once really hard and killed it. So let's say those two equal one another.
Then he's neutral.
Is he going to be dead?
No.
I think it's talking about maybe a spiritual death, because you don't see people dying instantly when they do something evil, if they do have more evil than bad, and maybe when they go back to the right side.
So you're giving an answer already.
It could be.
You're trying to answer the question.
No, but wouldn't it be like...
Wait.
Answer.
The question on the table is, if the Rambam is saying that as soon as a person has more bad deeds than good deeds, he becomes evil and then he dies. What Remington is saying, and I think all of you are reacting to in one way or another, is to say, this is counterfactual. The facts on the grounds are, what?
Shake his head.
Counter is against facts.
Against facts.
The facts are, as he's saying, there are lots of people who do bad things, don't do any good thing. They are Rashaim according to the Rambam, and they're still alive. I know, there's going to be a lot of yelling today. Forget Hitler. We're talking about Jews. Non-Jews, let's say there's another whole ball game. Let's just... What?
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know what the mitzvot are. So
What?
Are we saying that?
You don't try to answer how could this be true. Try to understand the question. Remington, I think he's got the question. He understands. It's like, no, this doesn't make sense. Why? Because there's lots of evil people that should be dead, and they're alive.
So what's the question?
So he says, how could the Rambam say this? That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Good. Next. What did you want to say?
No, I was just going to...
No. Okay. So
Is there more you're not telling us?
No, I don't know. I was just going to say that going to, if you do so many good deeds and then one good deed cancels out all those good deeds, I mean, people would be like, well, then what's the point of doing good
Well, it depends, remember, on the quantity and quality. If your quantity of good deeds are really, really good, because you gave a kidney, you gave your eye away to kids so you could play baseball. I don't know. You name it.
To use as the ball?
What? No, so that you can use. You help elderly people and you give lepers baths. Whatever. It's like really, really good deeds. You save people's lives on a daily basis because... And then you have a sin. You have sins. Yeah, you're not perfect.
Kick the cat.
Why? You're not evil. No, chas v'shalom. But let's say, right, the mitzvah in the Torah says that you have to feed your pet before you eat. So you come home, you don't feed your pet, you eat first. Okay? So you might say on the grand scheme of things, saving a human life is much more important. And so, you have sins, or, you go on the internet on those funny sites and look at things that you shouldn't. Let's say. You put those together, they do put it together, they figure out, weigh it, and they say, The Rambam says as soon as there's an imbalance of more demerits versus merits, boom, you're dead.
But how do they judge the one against the other? I mean, what's the scale for judging?
That's how God, listen, I always say, I can't speak for him on things that I don't have a source for. I can make it up, But then when you say, well, how do you know this? I would say, because God told me. And then they would haul me away, put me in a padded room with this funny little white jacket, right? And I don't want to do that. So I don't know how. But that is what our sources tell us, that when we are judged, it's for the quantity of our acts and the quality of our acts. Right? What makes a man is not when he does, I always help my neighbor, I turn off his sprinklers when he goes to bed. Wow, what a tzaddik. What we judge, you see a fireman running into a burning building and pulling somebody out. You don't say, hey, he's just getting paid to do that. He's just making money. Yeah, like they have, a quota. How many people are you burning? You don't get paid this week. Right? So there is a way of evaluating it, and every society evaluates that. Right? When soldiers earn, Purple Cross, I don't know what they get in, whatever it is, Cross, Heart, whatever it is, there is a criteria that you have to meet. Right? Okay, you were heroic because you killed, 100 enemy soldiers with a toothpick. Okay, good. Yeah. And the other guy says, I killed 100 without a toothpick. I dropped a 2-ton bomb on them. Well, sorry, you might have killed 200, but you don't get it's not considered like a big deal. But I was the guy that fastened to the pilot. If I didn't put it right, it wouldn't have fallen and blew up. I know, but all you did is you fastened the bomb to the plane. You don't deserve a Purple Heart for this. But I fell and I tripped and I broke my leg. But you're not wounded in action. He fought 200 people with a toothpick.
Yeah, but then wouldn't people who do those little actions, then wouldn't they just decide, well then, what's use me doing it if it's no big deal?
They add up.
So you think the one person that, let's say, put together the mechanism that drops the bomb would say, okay, well, I did this small part, but this added with all these other parts made a difference.
Of course. Everything you do, when a person takes a cup and makes a bracha, it changes the universe. People think, okay, yeah, right. It's a little extreme, Rabbi. What did you have for lunch? Mushrooms? We believe there was mushroom soup. By the way, that's why I'm using that, not as a metaphor for psychedelic drugs or anything else. The universe has a physical dimension and has a spiritual dimension. Certain physical acts have impact in the spiritual realm. Making a bracha, which is a physical act of, enunciating a few letters, making air coming out of your throat, changes the universe. You might say, that's a little act. It might be a little act, but what are you doing with this act? You're acknowledging the existence of God. That's what this world was created for. Yeah, little act. The Shulchan Aruch says we should make 100 blessings a day. It's not a suggestion. It's not, if you'd like to, try to shoot for 100. Shulchan Aruch says 100. It's no problem. It's a challenge. Problems are people want to avoid problems. The Torah creates challenges, not problems. It's the wrong way to look at the world. We don't look at the mitzvahs as taxes. Like, I got to do this again.
Well, they pay you.
Right, it's not. It's an opportunity. Hashem says, guess what? You can do this. Yeah, I have an opportunity to do another mitzvah. But it's 5 a.m. I'm tired. I want to sleep. Get up, slichot.
12:30 at night.
Okay, you do it at night. I do it in the morning. So your question, Remington, was asked on the Rambam by a very important rabbi in the Middle Ages, Rabbi Avraham ben David, the Ravid. He says, doesn't make any sense. Eno ked. It's not like this. Why? Ki yesh rashaim chayim harbeh. Many evil people live a long time. So what can the Rambam mean? if it's counterfactual, the Rambam, remember, just to tell you, he's a first-class thinker, philosopher, physician. He's not a dogmatic person. He's not irrational. So we have to find some answers, all of us, to answer the Rambam. If the Rambam says this, and it's against what's happening in the world, he's not sitting in some cloister with his eyes closed and saying, this is what it is. But it's not reality. And the reason the Ravid says it is because he says, even from the Torah's perspective, it's not the reality. So how can we solve this? This is what I want to hear from you. Are there ways that we could understand the Rambam to say that he's right? This is what you were trying to do earlier. So now we can come back to it. Now you can try your fancy footwork.
Well, maybe I said that maybe it's a spiritual death.
A what?
Spiritual death, or maybe disconnection. That until the balance is gone the other way, it can't be reverted. Maybe that's what it means.
Okay. So, did you hear what remember your name? Iran said? He's saying that the death is not a physical death, because we don't see that, but a spiritual death. That there is a soul in us, and that soul is cut. It dies. What would be the answer to that? How would we respond?
How can you live without a soul?
Yeah, that was obvious. I saw that
That's why I said
coming.
disconnected as well.
Fine, so what's disconnected mean?
Disconnected from the source.
It's disconnected from God, and you can live like that.
Well, there's onish karet.
Yeah.
That's what I'm basing it on.
Well, what if it was but you get a onish karet whenever you become a rasha?
Maybe.
Or you only get a karet when you are over the mitzvahs that have to do with a karet?
The second one, but that's my line of thinking.
Uh-huh.
I could be wrong.
You could. I think you're on the right track. All right, Asher, what do you think? What is a way that we can say about the Rambam to make this make sense?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. I mean, I do agree here with the fact that it could be spiritually cut off, and I think that might be the best answer, really.
Which is what?
That you're spiritually cut off from Hashem, so you're spiritually dead, and that you just sort of exist as a shell.
And you can never repair it?
No. Well, you can.
That's terrible,
but
right?
It depends. I don't know. It depends how far down you've gone.
It doesn't matter. If it's cut, it's cut.
Right.
Whether we're talking about one more than the other, right? They were like this, and all you did was I don't know the most simplest avera that a person could do,
But if it's the most simple,
and then all of a sudden that's it. You're done. Goodbye.
but if the most simple thing he could have done, then he must have done some pretty terrible things beforehand, or hardly
Yeah.
anything good at all.
Correct.
So is it really worth it?
Good for you. That's a good answer. Very good answer. I like that. Excellent. Excellent. Remington, you hear this? What do you think?
Interesting point of view.
Okay, Isaac?
Sorry, I missed it because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, go ahead. Give us the idea.
So, physically or spiritually dying doesn't feel like dying. Like, there was the story, I think Rabbi Akiva with Eliyahu, he took him around and one,
With whom?
Eliyahu,
Eliyahu Navi.
yeah, somebody went with Eliyahu, and he prayed for the cow to die instead with this poor man, because he would have died. So there are
Right.
ways to take in the place. Embarrassment, a bad enough embarrassment is considered death. There are certain ways to make that up.
So you're saying that it's not a literal death. So what you're saying is sort of goes back to what Iran and Asher are saying. It doesn't literally mean dead. Boom. That we have to understand the word dead in a more wider way. Extend the meaning a bit. So you're saying the death doesn't have to be literal death. It could be other times that the Gemara tells us that it's similar to death. So I would tell you the Rambam says, met, dies. Doesn't say like death, dies. So another way of solving, do you want to try, Dan?
I could try.
Go.
The way I looked at it was, maybe he was saying that we don't know or we don't appreciate how much goodness or how many merits we have. I think simply by just being alive, we have God in each and every one of us. So maybe that's a big enough merit that we don't really account for, or there's things that we don't account for that keep us alive.
Excellent. So this is what the Kesef Mishnah says. You just don't know how much you are, what big idea you had. It's huge. He says the Rambam is saying this because we think on our own standards. At Remington, we decide who is bad and who is good. We decide. We have our own way of weighing who's good and who's bad. So he says, what we think a person is doesn't matter. We might think a person is a complete evil person. But maybe they did some mitzvah that we never know about.
In this life?
Yeah, in this life. That's the simplest way of answering this question.
So what about Menashe?
What about Menashe?
King Menashe was a complete Russia until he did Teshuva.
No.
I don't think he did anything good in his life.
That's what you say.
No, I said I don't think.
Yes, but the Rambam is saying if he was a complete Rasha, he would have been dead.
Okay.
That's it. Yes, Aaron.
No, I don't think it's not related to the Teshuva. It's related to what you just said. I don't know.
About America.
No, about choice really, because you said they don't have as much
That.
So if a person, circumstances and situation and upbringing, etc., puts him into a place where he still has two choices, whether to kill, not to kill, to steal, not to steal, is he judged the same, an adult, as someone who wasn't put in the same situation? I mean, they still have a choice, no matter what.
But they don't have the capacity to the same choice as you do.
No, I understand. So, are they judged? Is there a standard of what to be judged as?
Yes.
So
It's a sliding scale. The way that I am going to be judged is going to be different than the way you're going to be judged. And my child is going to be judged when he becomes an adult on a different scale than me, because he has a different background. Everything is taken into account. Everything. God doesn't make mistakes. Shall we keep going? Or shall we dig a little deeper? We can do either way. It's up to you. Same price. We'll move on. How's that? So he says, the whole world, same thing. If there are more sins in the world than good deeds, then the world will be destroyed. There is no way that the world is going to exist if it's bad. So just imagine if you're going to do therapy as a social worker, and you tell the person, listen, the way that God runs the world is if you're bad, you're dead. You're alive, it means you're good. Every day that you open your eyes and you look around, it means that you have enough good deeds in your basket that God wants you around. Keep increasing that. Don't be depressed. But it's so hard. I can't handle it. You can. Of course you can. Okay. So he says, כל מי שניחם על המצוות שעשה וטעה לזכויות, whoever thinks back about his good deeds and his merits and says, what was the whole point of doing all of that? I shouldn't have done them. Guess what happens? הרי זה איבד את כולן. He loses everything. If you don't like that, do you? Yeah, you're sitting watching TV and you're thinking, I had that bar mitzvah to learn and that was real stupid. Shouldn't have done that. Wipe!
verbally, or even if he thinks it's going to be verbal?
You want to make a diuk? Amar belibo.
Ah.
Just thinking about it.
Is that enough?
Yeah,
But we're supposed to be allowed to question things in Judaism.
but not doubt. Question is different.
I'm not sure I know the difference.
Good. Good. That's what you're here to learn.
But what if you do?
I'll show you the difference.
But I could be
Can I-
doubting everything I've done right now and have lost it all in the last couple of seconds.
You could have.
Then you'll be next.
That's not good.
Not at all. Then don't do it. Don't do it, man. Stay with us.
Don't think
Stay with
Stay
us.
away from the light. But what about like when you do something good and then something bad happens to you because you did something good? I mean, there are some people that are like,
So you want to say my favorite T-shirt? No good deed goes unpunished. You like that? That gets a drum roll.
Yeah, it does.
No good deed goes unpunished. That's a separate class.
so you're, okay. So you're saying like you go do something good, but then you get in trouble or punished, and then you think, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Then you're saying that wipes out the fact.
No,
that
if
you
a
did
person
something
says I shouldn't have done all the mitzvahs, all the good deeds. Now, the question on the table was a very good question. What's the difference between questioning and what's the question of what's the difference and doubting? Doubting is when you reject the evidence and not saying maybe. To doubt means that can't be. When you question, you say, I'm not really sure. There's evidence on this side, there's evidence on that side. I'm sort of like wiffle waffling, right? I'm on a teeter-totter. I don't know. I'm sort of in the middle. That's a sort of questioning. Or, I accept that this is true, but I want to know, how do you know this? It makes sense, okay, but how do you know that? That is questioning. To doubt it means, this is nonsense. But it's not, it's got to be a nonsense. Like, it can't be. I doubt it. Right? You'll go on a shidduch date, right? And then you'll call to find out what she think of you. She says, she loved you. Nah, I doubt it. No, you should say, really? Like, how do you know? That's the question. No, she really wants to see you again. I doubt it, man. I dropped hot coffee on her. She got scolded. We had to go to the ER. No way. I doubt it. It's not going to happen. No, she thought that, the whole thing was beshert. Okay, whatever. So, be very careful. But there's an interesting idea here that I want to just emphasize for those of you who are at home and here. What you think has implications for you. Judaism wants us to be able to be aware, or wants us to be aware of our thoughts, our feelings, our words, and our actions. 4 spheres. Okay? This is thinking. The Rambam says if you are thinking this, it's a real problem. Have you done anything about it? Have you, ran out of shul in the middle of minyan because of it? No. Have you done anything? You would say, no, you're just thinking about it. It doesn't matter. It has no implications. Not in Judaism. Your thoughts are important. Your feelings are important. And you should be able to learn how to control them. That's the key to moral perfection. Your thoughts, your feelings, your words, and your actions. We will stop here. Have a good Shabbos. And I will see you here, Bli Neder, on Sunday.